Hey, welcome back to How to Barbecue Right. With the holidays coming up on us, everybody's going to be doing turkeys and hams, but I wanted to share something that you can do it's a little different and it's really going to impress your guests this year. What I'm doing is a bone-in pork loin crown roast. We're going to throw it out on the smoker and it's going to be out of this world. We'll keep the flavors simple, but we're going to let the pork be the star of the show here. And what I have is a Compart Duroc Family Farms bone-in pork loin. This one's already been Frenched. It comes from Compart. The bones have already been skinned down to where they're exposed. Going to make a nice presentation. We get it tied up into this crown roast. And also they've removed the chine bones, which that's really important when you're doing a roast like this. When you want to cut it at the end, a knife will go right through this. So let's get started, show you how we're going to cook it. We'll get this thing opened up and get it seasoned. So the first thing that I do is take the pork loin out of that cryovac packaging it's in, and you want to rinse it under cool water to rinse away any of the blood or fluid that's leaked out while it's been packaged. And then just pat it dry with a paper towel. With this Compart meat, I didn't have to do a whole lot of trimming or anything. We said earlier that the bones are already Frenched and really clean. That's going to make it look really good. Also, you can tell where they trimmed the back, and it's going to make it easier to slice through when we get ready to slice the finished product. To turn this into a crown, I mean, you can cook it whole like this, stand it up. I've got a recipe for that online. But this one we're going to turn into a crown roasted pork, and it's really for presentation. It's something that's going to look really good on your dinner table for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And when you spend the money and buy this Compart meat, it's the best pork you can get. So it's really going to wow those guests that are over there. They're going to want to know where it came from. They're going to be blown away by it. To turn it into a crown roast, you really need an 8-10 bone roast is about the right size. What we're doing is basically we're going to wrap this around, but you're going to have to cut slits in these bones to get it to turn. So I'm just going to start making a few right next to the bone, kind of an accordion effect. You don't want to run too deep. You just want to run, about an inch or so, enough to where it'll let this roast turn on itself. This also helps you when you're going to portion it at the end. Your slices are already started, so you can just cut right along it. Now let's see how we're looking, so we didn't split it anymore, but it should turn right on around. Turn it in on itself. Now we're ready to tie it up, and we've created the crown. This is the shape we're looking for. You can kind of see where the slits are. That's why they call it a crown roast, because it looks like a crown. Okay, to tie this roast up in its shape, you need some butcher twine, and I'm using probably about a 3-foot piece. And just catch it around the roast and pull it tight on the back side, and that's going to see how it cinches it up. That's going to give it its shape. Just tying a basic knot back here. I'm going to double it up a little so it'll stay. But the purpose is basically just to hold this in the shape of the crown. That's it's going to stay like that as it cooks, and we'll cut this twine off there at the end. Have a little excess left over, just trim it off. And that's what it looks like where we tied it. And now we've really got that bone shape. Okay, we've got the roast tied now, and to hold the crown shape, all that's left is to get some seasonings on it. And this is where we're sticking with our barbecue flavors, because we are going to smoke this one. The first thing that I'm going to put is a mixture of the salt, pepper, and garlic that you see me use my all-purpose seasoning. I'm just going to give it a good dose all the way around in between the slices that we made. You want the flavors in there. I'm even going to flip it over and hit the bottom a little. Then we're going to come back with some barbecue rub. You can use whatever rub you like. I'm using the Killer Hogs rub. Flip it back over. Let's get some of that barbecue rub in between those slices. Now we've got our roast seasoned. We're ready to get our cooker fired up. We're going to be cooking about 275 degrees. I'm going to put some apple pellets in my Yoder today. That's what we're going to smoke on. So let's get the cooker going. Stick around, I'll show you how we're going to cook this crown roast. The smoker's about up to temp for our crown roast here. And one last thing I wanted to do is protect these bones while it's cooking, because you don't want them to burn and char. This crown roast is about presentation. So we're going to put the little strips of aluminum foil around them. There's nothing to it really, but it will just keep them from burning. They'll still look nice and brown instead of black and burn up when this roast is done. So we're ready to go outside to the smoker now and get this thing on. We're gonna put a probe thermometer in it. We're gonna cook it till it's about 145-degree internal. That's perfect for pork loin. Of course, we'll have a little bit of carryover, so right in that 140, 145 is where you wanna be getting it off and letting it set and rest a little bit. But let's take it outside, get this thing on the pit. Okay, if you're cooking along at home with us, you want to get your smoker fired up 250, 275 degrees. That's the temperature we're cooking at today on our Yoder. I have some apple pellets on here. You can use a cherry wood, you can use a little bit of hickory, just whatever wood combination you want. I like the way apple goes with this pork loin. We're gonna let it sit on here and smoke for a couple hours. I'm gonna get an internal thermometer and stick in it, and that way I can watch it and see where it is, because with the roast like this, you don't want to overcook it. So I've got my chef alarm going here so I can watch the internal temps. I've got it set on 141 right there, so it'll be right in that range where I want to really watch it and pay close attention to those last few degrees. When you stick in a crown roast, you just want to make sure you go right in the middle of that loin, because that's where we want the even cook. So I'm just going in and right about in the middle of it. Just let me know I had a temperature change there. But you don't want to be up against a bone. Feel and make sure that you're not hitting anything hard. Right in the center mass of this crown roast. That's where you want to be. And you can watch it cook, let the smoker do its job. Just maintain that heat between 250 and 275 at home. You'll be just fine. Okay, it's been right at about 2 hours and 15 minutes and my chef alarm is going off at that 141 where I set it. And that's exactly where I want it to go, because I want to put a little glaze on it here at the end. So I'm just going to take my probe out, and before I glaze it, I'm going to pull the aluminum foil covers off the bones, because I'm going to glaze them too, just for presentation. But see how it protected the bones really well, and they're not all burnt up. They still have some color to them. This roast is looking really good. Now we got these off, we're ready for some glaze. And I mixed up a jar of peach preserves with a vinegar-based sauce. It's a commercial sauce called Blues Hog Tennessee Red. Really good sauce on pork. But I'm putting this peach-flavored sauce because it really goes well with pork, and the vinegar will really bring it out a little, and it'll kind of bring a little bit of acidity to the sweetness of that peach preserve. Balances it real well. I also added just a few tablespoons of butter to the sauce once I got it heated up. I got the preserves melted real well. We're going to let this glaze on. This is going to finish up the last few degrees we need. Then we're going to take it in and it'll be ready for the table. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes on the glaze, and that's all I need. I just wanted it to kind of get bubbly and just set a little bit. So we're going to get this roast off, get it inside, and let it rest. That's it, crown roasted pork, killer hog style. Okay, we let the crown roast hang out for about 20 minutes once we brought it inside off the smoker. And that's real important that you let it rest. I mean, like with any meat, the juices will absorb back into the meat instead of being pushed out. And especially with the pork loin roast like this, you don't want to lose any of that juice. All that moisture is your flavor. To recap what we've done, this was a real simple recipe, but we used good quality pork. I used that Compart Duroc bone-in pork loin roast. It was a 10-bone roast, and we seasoned it with a little of the salt, pepper, garlic mixture just to give it a base layer of flavors, and then we come back and hit it with barbecue rub. Then it went on the pit. Now we were cooking at 275 degrees, and it took about 2 hours, 15 minutes. When we saw it was getting to 140, 141 where I had my chef alarm set, that's when I whipped up a glaze and we just kind of basted it on the outside of it and let that sit for 10 minutes. The glaze that we used was a combination of peach preserves and Blues Hog Tennessee Red, and those we needed the acidity to balance out the sweetness in those preserves, and just blend it all together. Added a couple tablespoons of butter there at the end. Now the best part of the day when you get to try this roast, and you don't think that would impress somebody when you brought it out to your Thanksgiving table or your Christmas table. Let's move it over here to the cutting board and see what we got. Ooh, look at that. Now, if that ain't a chop, I don't know what is. I'll cut a couple of them there. And I'll turn it where you can see the inside. And notice it's cooked through and through, just perfect. That's exactly how you want to see it, but we still got a ton of moisture. When I squeeze that knife, all that moisture. We got a little bit of smoke ring from that apple wood we smoked it with. It's gonna have some good flavor. Now there's one that thought he was getting away here. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a try. I know y'all want to see me do this. Wow, that's moist. This roast here is all about that compart pork. It's really good stuff. You can get a crown roast at your butcher, have them French the bones for you if you're a little worried about that. But if you really want to impress somebody, visit my friends at HowToBBQRight, order up one of these roasts. It'll knock your socks off come holiday time. Hey, thanks for checking us out today on How to Barbecue Right. If you like what we're doing, just subscribe to our channel. And if you want to visit us on Facebook and Twitter, we love the feedback and the interaction. So thanks, until next time.